Welcome back to my channel, friends. My name is Brianne, and this is Diary of a Homemaker. Today we are doing something a little different. I am wanting to start a series where we learn to cook together. So macarons are something that I've never made before in the kitchen. They are something that I've wanted to try for actual years, and it's just something that has been incredibly intimidating to me, and just one of those things that I've kind of pushed off and not tried. So I've never done this before. I wanted to do this together. I did make a few mistakes along the way, which I'm sure you're going to notice, and I will point out so you don't make the same mistake. The basic ingredients for this recipe were powdered sugar, almond flour, eggs, regular sugar, and then whatever flavorings or food colorings you decide you want to add to those. We are in the process of eliminating almost all food colorings or food dyes, artificial flavors, quote, natural flavors, things like that. So I didn't actually flavor my batter or the cookie itself. I simply ended up filling them with raspberry jam because that's all I had on hand. So to get started, all you had to do was sift together 2 cups of powdered sugar, and then it called for 1 cup of almond flour. This part did take me just a little bit of time. I was able to just use a regular sifter and put it in there, and then I just tapped it together. Okay, this is where I started making my mistakes. The recipe called for 3 egg whites, and there I go throwing the eggshell in the bowl, but I accidentally added the whole eggs. So I did end up adding 3 whole eggs instead of just the egg whites. And this is when you notice I'm picking out the shell. I didn't even know that I did that whenever I did that, but I started whisking, and you'll see in about 3 seconds, I notice what I've done wrong, and I do end up having to stop and start over once again. So you're going to see it right about here. Yep, there we go. I notice. And so I just go ahead and undo it. And I'm kind of just trying to figure out what to do. I can't really believe I made that mistake, but it's fine. We're learning together. That's what this process is about, right? I'm not perfect. I have never done this before, and it really is why I wanted to bring you all along with me. I think there is this, misconception, or maybe even like an intimidation factor whenever someone cooks from scratch, because how do you get there? How do you go from not making anything from scratch to making almost everything from scratch? So right now I made another mistake. I accidentally got some of my yolk in my egg white mixture, and this recipe specifically called for no egg yolk. So once again, I'm starting over, and this time I am being so careful, really, really trying not to get any of the yolk into that mixture. I did read that it can be beneficial to actually crack your eggs a day before and let some of the moisture in the egg whites evaporate, and that can help the meringue I guess just become more stiff whenever it is in that whipping process. This recipe did call for 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and you're supposed to add it just gradually to the eggs. So that is what I did. I wasn't really sure how slow to add the sugar. So I just kind of went with what felt right while I was doing it and just added it a little bit at a time. I also read that having your mixer set at speed 6 was optimal for whipping the egg whites. Again, this is a learning process. I am not a professional cook. I am just a home cook trying to learn how to be a better home cook, right? So there are a lot of things that I know how to cook, and I know how to cook really well, but there is a lot of things that I don't know how to cook, and I don't know what I'm doing. And again, that's really what I want this series to be about, is creating like a learning space together where we can learn together. This recipe called for us to whip our eggs until it was like a stiff peak. And I did check it right there, but it wasn't quite ready. So I did go ahead and turn it back on and whip it for just a little bit longer. This is in real time. So you can see just how long it took me to get just a little bit more stiffness to those peaks. So here I am checking it again, and sure enough, it's perfect. You can see that the end is not like flopped over, it's sticking straight up. Another way that you can tell if your egg white mixture is ready is you can turn the bowl upside down, and if it doesn't move, then it's ready. The next step that we called for is we are going to mix the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients. And this recipe called for us to mix half of the mixture first. So that's what I do. I go ahead and dump in the first half of the mixture. And this specific mixing technique, I am not sure how to pronounce. Macaronage, I think possibly, but it's basically using a J shape. So you take the spatula like straight down, and then you kind of turn the spatula and use like a smearing motion. This is supposed to help prevent hollow shells. It did take just a little bit of time to do this, and you do have to be careful not to overmix. I am going to show you here how I did it. You want to find that happy medium between not being undermixed and not being overmixed. So you'll be able to kind of tell once you start doing it. Whenever it is still undermixed, your batter is going to be very dry. It's going to want to break on you, and whenever it's overmixed, it's going to be quite runny. So finding that happy medium where the batter kind of ribbons off of your spatula, that's exactly what you're looking for. There is a name for, or I guess not a name, but like a phrase. It's called the 8, trying to do a figure 8, and that's where you take your spatula and you kind of create the letter, or excuse me, the number 8 with your batter, and if it kind of stays together while you do an 8 and isn't breaking apart, then that is exactly what you're looking for. I will show you in just a minute. I did go ahead and do that, and right here it's starting to ribbon. See how it's starting to kind of fall off the spatula? So we are so close. I will say this is in real time, so you can kind of get an idea of how long this does take. We really are getting so close to being at the right consistency. And I will go ahead and bring you in close just so you can see exactly what I'm talking about as far as that consistency goes. Here we are at the point that we need to go ahead and start prepping our bags. So it's going to take one of those silicone pastry bags, and then the white piece, that's actually called a coupler. That's so you can go ahead and switch tips easily. Say if you're icing something, that would just allow you to switch tips very easily. We're not doing that for this specific purpose, but I do go ahead and use it just because I have it. I did use the largest tip that the kit came with. So this is what it's going to look like, and I did learn this trick. You can actually put the bag inside a cup. That way you still have two hands to hold the bowl and be able to pour something. So this is just really handy. You know, I wish that I had a third arm sometimes, and this kind of gives you that third arm just so you can be in control of what you're doing. So this is a very thick batter, or mixture, I should say. So it didn't really spill over the sides like I was, I thought it was going to. I just dumped it in there and it was very easy to do. I will say the next part coming up was not easy. I highly underestimated how hard exactly it would be to pipe out those cookies, even with the silicone mat, even with the guide on the silicone mat. I have watched so many videos on people making them, and they make it look so easy, and this is not easy. I created quite a mess. It was kind of dripping all over the place, and it was not easy. But they did turn out okay, I think, for the first time. I'm giving myself grace. I'm not perfect. I am learning, and this is just how learning goes, you know. I don't expect to be perfect the first time on anything, and practice makes perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and pipe these out. This did take me just a little while because, again, I just so underestimated how hard this was going to be. I maybe didn't even have the right consistency. I do feel like it maybe did get a little bit runnier in the time that it sat there and I had to fill up the bags. Maybe if I had the bags already ready and I could just go ahead and immediately start pouring the batter into the bags, then that would have made a difference. But you can see they did run together, and the longer they set, you can see they did kind of spread out. You are supposed to let them set for about 30 minutes just to create like a dry layer on the top, and then you can pop them in the oven. Like I said, I did end up using raspberry jam for the filling, and this is currently my favorite raspberry jam. I get this at Aldi, and unfortunately, I do believe it is a seasonal product. I don't remember seeing it any other time, and the last time I was there, I saw it on like the end cap where, you know, some of the like discontinued items are going to be, or like seasonal items. So I do think it is a seasonal product, which is very sad, but I do have a few jars that I stocked up on, so I will be okay. This is them coming out of the oven. You're supposed to cook them at 315 for 30 minutes, and you can see they really did kind of meld together. But I did get like a shiny top coat, or like a shiny top, which you're supposed to look for, or what is what you're looking for, I should say. I did go ahead and let them cool on the mat because I tried to get them off warm, and you can see a couple of them did stick. So I did let them set and rest for maybe 30 minutes or so. Overall, I really am proud of how they turned out. I, like I said, have wanted to do this for actual years and have never done it. And it's one of those things that I've checked off my list. And will I make them again? Absolutely. So if you are still here, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this style of video. I know it is a little bit different from what I've done before, but I just really want to share this journey of learning to cook different things, try new things, not be afraid to experiment in the kitchen. And I just thank you for being here. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, friends.